VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard with you live downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Very busy 4-hour program lined up today, taking you right basically to kick off of this huge Thursday night tilt between NFC East rivals in Philadelphia, the Eagles and the Commanders. Paul Charchian on the program coming up in 30 minutes. And good afternoon to those of you watching or listening to the show on the brand new VSiN Watch app. Get it today at the Apple App Store or Google Play Store as well. So, Paulie, the Eagles are now out to a 4-point favorite. I think that's probably a truer number of where it was earlier in the week, right? When they were laying 3. They are on a 5-game winning streak. I guess the bye came at the right time for them. They have won every game since then. But I will point out the quarterbacks are the teams that they have defeated consecutively now since the bye. Deshaun Watson, Daniel Jones. They beat the Bengals, who have been a train wreck at home this year. They beat Trevor Lawrence, and they beat Cooper Rush. So you could argue that this is, like, by far and away, along with the Bengals, the best offense that they're going to face in quite a long time.
I'm not there yet with the defense. The offense is fine. We know the record, as Sal pointed out, 6-0 with A.J. Brown and 29 points per game. I'm there with the offense. Hurts has been great. 4 games in a row, passing, rushing, touchdown, and a QB rating of 100. First time in history that's happened. So with his weapons now and the health, the Tampa Bay game, you just throw in the garbage. No one was healthy. Remember, they gave away the Atlanta game. That never should have happened either. So if you're going to be right there with Detroit, and the discussion is the best team in the NFC, this is one you have to have and have to get and lock up the division. But, to your point about the winning streak, you go back, though, at home, they're not covering numbers.
No, they're not.
They're not covering big numbers at all. And if you're supposed to be an elite team, you're up 22-0 against Jacksonville. You don't let them back in the game. You certainly don't have a close call against Watson and the Browns when you need a stop when it's 1st and goal. I mean, a lot of this stuff shouldn't happen. And, they think they're making improvements defensively. But I'm there offensively. I'm not there defensively.
You know why I think a lot of that happens? I think it's the head coach. I do not like Nick Sirianni. So I think I can safely say that tonight it's a coaching advantage for the Commanders, for what it's worth. Eagles are 5-4 ATS on the year. They're 0-3 ATS at home, to your point. They're much better on the road where they're 4-1. Commanders have been one of the best stories in football. You all know that. They're 3-1 ATS on the road, 7-2 ATS overall. I will also tell you, now the total's up to 49.5. The Commanders are 5-0 to the over on the road this year.
Yep.
The combined points when they play on the road, 57, 71, 56, 53, and 49. Now, did we see like a little bit of regression that will stick around for maybe a little bit last week by this Commanders offense when they took on a really good Pittsburgh defense? I don't think the Philadelphia defense is as good as a Pittsburgh defense. So I can't get there with that.
Well, they're good against the run, so that spells doom for Robinson. But do they have success through the air? And the other thing is where you're at with the Washington defense, which cannot stop the run.
Yeah, they've been improving, but...
Yeah, they did a good job on Harris last week, that's right. But if Barkley averaging 110 on the ground, and Washington's allowing 142,
right?
His prop looks juicy at 94.5. That's where the game, for me, begins. If you can't slow down the run in Barkley, then it's going to be a long night. And to your point, though, about coaching, you don't like Sirianni. Both games were close last year. Washington could have won both of them.
Right.
What happened? But it was a big A.J. Brown performance in those games as well. So maybe it flies over. We've been blessed with these great Thursday night games and a lot of high-scoring games, and even Monday night. I don't know what that was with Miami and the Rams, but it's about the Washington defense for me tonight.
So I will add on to what you said about Barkley. It's a high number. It's 94.5, right, with the rushing yards. That's fine. I mean, a lot of these primetime totals have been high, and these star players have been going over regardless. But again, both teams are good at running the football. The problem is the Commanders are much worse at stopping the run. They're 29th in running back yards allowed, 23rd in power success, 22nd worst stuffed rate, 31st in second level yards, and 24th in the open field. So how can we capitalize on that? Well, when you look at Saquon Barkley's game log, how about his longest rush by game? If the Commanders are 22nd in stuffed rate, which means you're not obviously getting a lot of leverage at the line of scrimmage and you're not stopping them and hitting them, making contact right away, then 31st in the second level. Well, Barkley's longest rush by game will go, this is his, from lowest to longest. 10, 11, 11, 19, 21. He's also ripped off runs of 34, 55, 59, and 65. So 21 is the median. His longest rush prop tonight is 19.5. Here are running backs with their longest rush against Washington so far on the year. Bucky Irving, 31. Devin Singletary, 22. James Conner, 20. Dante Foreman, 25. Derrick Henry, 27. Miles Sanders, 26. DeAndre Swift, 56. I think I can go based on those analytics and tell you that they're bad at almost every single level of stopping the run. And when Barkley's median longest rush so far is 21, and he's had 4 other longest rushes that are like double or triple that, I'll go over 19.5 even money all day long with that run. I think he'll break off at least one long one tonight, I think.
Sounds good. And if it's Atlanta, Tampa Bay, or Baltimore, Cincinnati again, some of these big ones are going to cash. But you look at these numbers, and these numbers are high. Barkley essentially has to have 100 yards. A.J. Brown's in the 80s. Hurts is 40 and change for rushing yards. But if you can look at the quick picks and what Caesars offers, each quarterback 300 rushing and passing, and the game goes over is 9-1. A.J. and McLaurin, both 70 yards is plus 250. And then there's some big ones out there. If A.J. has 2 touchdowns and 100 yards, and Hurts runs one, and it's 20-1 too. But I mean, I could see that though, because I think Hurts is too low here with 223.5 with his passing yards, don't you? Because it also comes down to how you're going to attack him offensively. Is it a heavy dose of Barkley, or is it going to be we have to take our shots deep to Brown and Smith? Because they have so many weapons here and how they're humming offensively. So if it sets up to be a high-scoring game like last year and what A.J. Brown did, then again, we're going to have some big tickets cash in this one.
Yeah, here's the breakdown of the Commanders against players in the passing attack. We'll go from a DVOA standpoint. Against wide receiver number 1, they are 29th in the NFL. They allow 83 yards per game. So that's like A.J. Brown, hello, nice to meet you. Big game looming. They're 18th against wide receiver number 2s, Devontae Smith. They're 23rd against wide receiver number 3s, and they're below average against tight ends, 18th overall. Where they thrive on defense is they are the 3rd best team at covering running backs in the passing attack. So I don't think Barkley, based on so far 9-10 games into the season, I don't think Barkley's going to be the guy in the air. I think he's going to be the guy on the ground. And then I think some of these other guys, it just makes a lot of sense where the secondary is pretty bad. It's going to be A.J. Brown probably as the leading guy, and then Devontae Smith after that. But that's how it normally would go in the flow of a game for the Eagles anyway.
Well, you still don't have Lattimore, and I can't get there with his defense, how bad they've been. And Wilson had success throwing on him. Danny Dimes twice, especially the game on the road. And then we saw what Cincinnati did against them. Whoever had the ball last was going to win. So maybe it sets up like that game too, where it's in the 30s and they have no answer for Philadelphia. What I find interesting is, again, Gonzalez off the practice squad is kicking. So when you're 11 of 12 on 4th down and your one miss was by an inch, you're going to go for it the majority of the time with an unknown with kicker, even though he's a veteran. But if you're 11 of 12 on 4th down and your kicker's out, I like Philadelphia longest made field goal, $1.10.
Okay, good breakdown.
Because that's why would you even try that, mess around with that too? And you know what Sirianni does with that, what he nonsense in the last game, trying that 50, whatever it was in the rain.
No doubt. Let me give you some trends here from Steve Makinen. Everybody can find these every week at VSiN.com. Tell me if they mean anything, Paulie. NFL teams playing at home on Thursdays on at least a 4-game winning streak are 13-1 straight up and 11-3 ATS in their last 14 tries on Thursday Night Football.
That's something.
Seems a little random.
Yeah, that's surprising. Yeah.
Washington's Dan Quinn, 0-10 straight up, 1-9 ATS. That's the current run when coming off of an upset loss. They were a small favorite last week against Pittsburgh. So he has not been able to rebound in that spot over quite some time. Washington is 26-9 over the total when playing on short rest. That goes back to 2011. That's all the way back to RG3.
Yeah.
Nick Sirianni, 15-2 straight up, 11-5 ATS as a single-digit home favorite since 2021. So that's pretty strong. He's actually good at taking care of teams that are, somewhat close to this team anyway. It's, I think, when they get to the bigger point spreads, when they're not as good. But I told you, well, that ties into how bad it's been this year, though, right? They were really good for a long time, killing these teams at home. This year, not the case. And Thursday Night Football home teams in weeks 9 and later are 39-25 straight up, 37-25-2 ATS. I think that might actually mean something because it's just the wear and tear of the season, the travel, catching up with his teams now, like week 10, week 13, whatever it is. Oh, my God, we got to go play a game now on Thursday night when we've been playing for 3.5 months already. Like, where's our break coming? And Washington, by the way, they haven't had a bye yet.
Oh, yeah.
So that's something to consider as well.
Charch's coming up with props and picks. He's going to ask us about futures on the Eagles. I'm going to have to take the easy way out and say I want to see what happens tonight in the next couple games. Because after this, it's at L.A. against the Rams, and it's at Baltimore.
All right.
So I think they're finding their groove, and I love what they're doing offensively, and it goes back to how they opened the season against Brazil. When they're healthy, I think they can outscore people, and maybe they play Detroit in the NFC title game. But I'm with your concerns about the head coach and the defense. But if they get this going tonight, they win tonight, they're probably going to win the division. They're a 2-10 favorite. And then you beat the Rams, and you're thinking, we got this. And then you're looking at a 1 or a 2 seed, probably the 2 seed.
I think tonight is a monster for the 2 seed and also for the division. It is. Up next, win some, lose some. And I'll give you a nice tidbit to consider on the one-game NBA card we have tonight. Numbers here coming up next on VSiN.
Love Thursdays on Follow the Money coming up. Paul Charchian, picks, props, and fantasy. Brad Powers with college football slate. And Steve Wiss, the meat man with soccer picks. Follow the Money weekdays, 4 to 7 Eastern on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Want to see who at VSiN is on a hot streak? Go to VSiN.com/picks to see all the selections and weekly leaderboard of VSiN hosts, writers, and guests. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber and get every pick sent to your inbox daily. Just head to VSiN.com/pro.
So, Paulie, have you had a chance to read the VSiN Daily yet?
Yeah, came in at 3 a.m. What's Bill doing up that late?
Well, rumor has it, it starts off with a 12-hour meditation session.
Then he just pours himself over film and live TV, really focusing and taking it all in. Bill's in with the biggest insiders, talking trade secrets, strategies, the whole nine, absorbing the info.
And then and only then can the writing process begin.
In Las Vegas, Bill's late night becomes your early morning. Wake up to the very latest betting insights in your inbox with the VSiN Daily. Sign up for free at vsin.com/newsletter.
last night?
Wow, winning.
Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Paulie Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
3 football games, weather involved. Always a good time with Maction. Akron 17 down to 14. They lost by 13. Cash it. Ohio 8 up to 10.5. Won by 25. The Association, Knicks Bulls over, 228 up to 232, and the Bulls plus 285. Cat missed 4 free throws. He was great with the points. Hart up 2 with 5 seconds, fouls. White shooting a 3.
Yep.
The Knicks score, what'd they score, 124 points and lost at home? Come on, guys.
I hated the trade the second that it happened. I think it's terrible for both teams.
Yeah. And Blazers 4-1. They beat the Timberwolves again as huge dogs. What in the world's going on? College hoops. Central Michigan plus 775. Took out George Mason.
My God.
Hofstra plus 180 beats Seton Hall. Louisiana Tech UMass under 148.5 to 143. That's a winner. Nevada 14.5 up to 17.5. Won by 30. Long Beach San Francisco under 152 down to 144. 84.59. Subscribe, be part of the team, VSiN.com. Our radio and podcast friends, you always want to see these tweets and videos. At Paulie Does Vegas on Instagram. Send them in. We'll put you on. Can you imagine this, Mitch? This is every day feeding the puppies, the Huskies, lunch.
Listen to that.
And there's about 9 of them. Can you do it? Look at the mom. Hey, guys, come on. Yeah. Jumping over. Can you imagine that? Oh, look out! Wow, look at that. Oh my God's right. Between the high-pitched fever and then come in and just attacking the food. Imagine that every single day. And I got another one for you coming up tomorrow or next week when the Huskies want to go for a walk and there's 3 of them and one says let's go and the other one's it hurts your ears. Can you imagine doing that every day? Oh man. This is a good one. This guy thinks he's a puppy. Doesn't know. Look at the big guy.
Puppy.
Yeah. He doesn't understand his size, but he acts like he's a pup. Look at the size of this guy, Mastiff, right? Walking around, and look, they triple the size of the kid. He jumps on the table. He's in the back of the truck, and he just thinks he's a puppy walking around and doing what he wants and doesn't realize how big he is. Here he's just hanging out in the bathroom. Pooh, what are you doing? Just going for a walk. Pooh hangs out in the bathroom. Pooh jumps on the ice hockey table. Pooh goes in the car. Look at the size of Pooh. Oh, imagine that. A guy that big. How about one like this? Intro into this next one. Good job, guys. Look at the size of this guy. He's standing up. He's bigger than the human. I need help on what kind of dog that is. But that is, when you think, now, good thing is he's lovable and having a good time. He's a giant. He's a gentle giant. But
look how agile he is.
Yeah, right. But imagine you own a dog that's bigger than you are, and he just jumps up on the couch and wants to take a nap. You're in trouble. That's excellent. College football, lose some. Kent State over 45 up to 47. 34-7. Ohio over 48.5 up to 51.5. 35-10. Cavs from 8 up to 11.5. Won by 8. Bucks Pistons under 221 down to 212. No good. Flew over. NC State under 145 down to 138.5. 82-70. Richmond from 4 down to 1. They got pounded. And a couple of bad beats. DraftKings has this up. First player in the NBA to score 60 in a game. Wemby was 50-1. He had 50 points with 8 minutes left. His game was ahead of the Bucks. Giannis finished with 59.
In overtime.
He was 10-1. Giannis is now plus 650. Luka's the favorite. First player to score 60 in an NBA game.
Giannis is averaging 33 points per game this year.
Huh.
Like 3 points higher than any other player in the league.
How about Wembanyama now? Would he find something with his shot? He's taken this many threes. He's got 50 points with 8 minutes left. He finishes with 50, though.
Yeah, what's the prop in his next game now? How high are they going to go with this?
Yeah.
They have the Lakers tomorrow night?
I think you're right. Yeah, so many sports in action. No better time. Put the VSiN experts to work for you. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today. Every best bet, every host, every guest. See the leaderboard, who has the hot hand. First 30 days, $9.99. 19 hours of live programming. Exclusive betting splits. Start the VSiN Pro subscription today. VSiN.com/subscribe.
So, a couple of observations in the NBA. We're heavy football today and tomorrow. Why would the league go big-time schedule Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with a massive schedule. By the way, Paulie, which included a ton of back-to-backs, which meant players were going to sit out. And then they go one game tonight, and they fire it back up with a loaded schedule tomorrow night for the NBA Cup. What are we doing here?
Yeah, it's bizarre.
So
shouldn't happen.
The one game that we have tonight, the Mavericks are on a 3-game losing streak. They play at Utah. Utah has been an abomination. Here's how bad it is for the Jazz. They are 1-4 ATS at home. That's not even the worst part, not even close. They are missing the cover on average by 12.6 points per game. They are getting blasted at home. They're not even competitive. So, like, how pissed off do you get the Mavericks tonight, who kind of blew the game against the Warriors the other night? They also lost the game to the Nuggets. So they lost 3 straight. And this team, there's no reason for the Jazz to be good this year. You're going nowhere. Do you want to get into the Cooper Flag sweepstakes?
Yes, they do.
I think that's correct.
They're in there, yep. Along with Washington, yep. Dallas should bury them, no doubt. But it's hard to get there with Luka, props, because you have Thompson taking shots and Kyrie, too. And then you also have Kidd. Maybe this is the game, though, too, right? Blow them out, get these guys some rest, because Kidd's been so disappointed in the bench, and he has to play extended minutes for Luka and Kyrie. He doesn't want to do that here in November, right? I mentioned the anything more in the game?
No, I thought those numbers were absolutely fascinating by Utah.
Yeah. I mentioned the Philly angle. How about the Washington angle? Like, you're playing with house money tonight. I mean, the whole season, no one expected this from you. You can win the division. You're going to make the playoffs, barring a collapse.
Yeah.
You get Dallas coming up, Tennessee, the Saints, Atlanta's doable, Philly at home, Dallas again. I mean, they can do this. It's certainly a very easy schedule for Washington the rest of the way, that if they win tonight, then they're thinking 2 seed.
It almost seems a little unfair when you look at the updated playoff standings and where teams fall. They are the 6th seed as we speak. The 6th. They're ahead of the Packers, the 7. The Niners are currently out of the playoffs. How big is that game at Lambeau next week?
Yeah, right.
When Green Bay hosts San Francisco.
Yeah.
But I would like to say that they are comfortably in the playoffs.
Yes.
The Commanders?
Yeah. Just based on what those other... I mean, the Niners have a tough schedule.
The Bears are not getting in.
Right. Tampa's 4-6.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see what's coming up here. You're going to beat Dallas, Tennessee, likely New Orleans. I mean, it's not going to be hard to get to 10. 10's going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Right now, the Packers would be playing in Philly against the Eagles. The Commanders would be at Atlanta. I think I would love Washington in that game. In a dome, I don't think the Falcons' defense would be slowing down the Commanders once.
Yeah, that'd be a hell of a game.
And then the Vikings would be playing at Arizona, which would be an intriguing game.
Mm-hmm.
That's the right now. Obviously the Lions would have the bye. That's a monster. The Chiefs-Bills this week, huge.
Yep.
How big is Pittsburgh and Baltimore?
Mm-hmm.
Because Pittsburgh is currently the 3. They would host the Chargers. The Ravens are currently the 5. They would have to go and play at Houston.
See, the winner of whatever happens in the Pittsburgh game, then we're coming in Monday, and there's so many angles. Steelers win. Why does Lamar struggle against them?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't he beat them? 1-3 going back. Is Pittsburgh a Super Bowl contender?
Tomlin as a home dog.
Yeah. Do they outscore him again? What's wrong with Baltimore's defense? We can't trust Baltimore's defense. But then if Baltimore wins, we're back to they're better than Kansas City. Look at the resume. You can't stop this offense. Lamar, $1.10 to win the MVP, all of it, right?
Sure.
And they'll probably sweep the Steelers, and then you're looking at the 2 seed here, too. But the same thing, though, with Buffalo. What if Buffalo loses to Kansas City? Can't take you seriously.
No, nobody will take him seriously.
I know, right?
Not a single person will.
I can't count on you. I know what's going to happen in January. Mm-hmm. Mahomes has your number. Then Mahomes would be 13-1-1. ATS is a dog. And then the talk will really heat up. Will Kansas City go undefeated? If they can beat Buffalo.
If they win this one,
yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Who would you have as the best team in football right now?
Oh, boy.
Steve Mackin and VSiN.com, his power ratings say the Lions.
Well, if you say one team here, right, your life depends on it,
yeah.
I would have to take Kansas City.
Okay.
On a neutral field, Mahomes and that defense, and they just find a way to win. I have to take Kansas City.
I have looked at some other power ratings, and when you combine them, there is a person by the name of Sam Hoppen who does this, and he does a combined like composite ratings from like Fezzik and DVOA and Massey Peabody and a bunch of others, right? FPI. I think Baltimore is number 1 overall. So that tells me, I think, that they are putting a lot of weight into offensive numbers more than anything else.
See, I can't get there.
Because the defense...
it's too bad.
The defense, it has to bog them down a little bit.
Yeah. You get that performance from Lamar. It comes down to a 2-point conversion.
Yeah,
you can't stop Chase. You can't give up that many points at home if you're going to be a Super Bowl team.
Every game so far but one has gone over the total.
Yeah.
Every game is basically the same thing.
Yeah. Plus, what happens if you have to go on the road? How about the Cleveland game?
Right.
Couldn't stop Winston.
And I would tell you again that the Bengals gave him the game last Thursday.
The fumble was big, yeah.
Up next, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian on the program. So Lamar, his most troublesome opponent in his career has been the Pittsburgh Steelers. Does that continue this weekend?
Sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup. Then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to VSiN.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome in. It is Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard, live downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Thursdays at this time, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian joins the program. He is with GuillotineLeagues.com. The podcast is called Fantasy Football Weekly, and he joins us here on the Progressive guest line. Good Thursday, Charch. How you been?
Well, good, in part because we haven't had to watch the Jets for 2 weeks, which is pretty great.
Yeah.
That's always a positive right there. We got a good game tonight that'll go a long way towards telling us the outcome of the NFC East. So this is we got a good one here. I'm excited. Yeah,
we have you for 2 full segments today. We'll get to that game with player props coming up in the following segment. Let's begin with this. We just talked Baltimore-Pittsburgh in the previous segment.
Yeah.
Now Baltimore out to a 3.5-point favorite here. The total is 48.5. Numbers here on Lamar Jackson. He is 1-3 career against Pittsburgh. He is 17-5 combined against the Bengals and the Browns. Pittsburgh is the only team he has more INTs, 7, than touchdowns, 4 against. So what do you make of this year's version of the Pittsburgh defense going against him on Sunday?
This is the toughest defense he's faced yet. Steelers have held the Ravens to 19 or fewer points in 7 straight games, which is borderline amazing. Also amazing that he's had 10 opportunities to play the Steelers, and he's played them 4 times, which is bizarre as well. Yeah. Some injuries. He had a Week 18 game that they didn't bother playing him in. He's lost 3 straight against Pittsburgh. Here's from kind of a fantasy, and maybe if you want to look at it from a prop betting standpoint as well. If I'm the Ravens, the reason I brought in Derrick Henry was for moments like this. Here's Pittsburgh. They're number 1 in pass rush by almost any metric that you want. TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, number 1 pass rush by Pro Football Focus. I don't even have to deal with that if I just run Derrick Henry 25 times. And there's a mediocre Steelers run defense and a completely disruptive pass defense. And furthermore, even if you're just like, okay, it's Lamar Jackson, he's going to go run for a bunch of yards. We don't want to take anything away from that. But they've been awesome. Steelers have faced all of these really hyper mobile quarterbacks: Bo Nix, Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, Jaden Daniels. They're averaging 14 rushing yards per game. It's just, this feels like a potentially massive Derrick Henry game incoming. And I don't know. Obviously, I don't know if it's going to work that way, but this feels like the reason you brought Derrick Henry to Baltimore is to try to dominate these games on the ground and just be more physical.
By the way, what do you make of the point spread? Steelers catching 3.5 at home here.
I like the Steelers. I think the Steelers are going to win this game.
Do you really?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Can you?
You'll remember if you go back preseason, I was with you guys one morning in, I don't know, early August, and I recommended Steelers to win the division at 8-1. And I'm not, that doesn't have any bearing necessarily on this game, but I still think the Steelers are the best. Well, I guess I'm peacocking if I'm just being honest, because I think that turned out to be pretty good advice.
Yeah. Okay.
But I still think the Steelers have the best defense in this division. And also, the Ravens, you can't be dead last in passing and be a serious team. And they have been dead last in passing all year long. They've got to get the pass rush right, and it's not yet. That's such a big Achilles heel. Here comes Russell Wilson, who's been legitimately really, really good. Total rebirth here with this offense. I'm on Steelers' side of this. Give me the points.
How about the NFC North? Let's start with your team. It was ugly. Yeah. They got the win, couldn't score a touchdown. 42 minutes, time of possession. Darnold with 4 interceptions. One was called back because of a penalty, negated. So what level of concern now in Minnesota with Darnold?
Yeah, it's pretty high. And this is not a get-right game against Tennessee. Tennessee's the number 1 pass defense by yards allowed. That doesn't feel great. And, Darnold, as good as he was in that first month of the season, at that point, he was, in the MVP conversation, early, MVP conversation. But after that first month of the season, more picks than touchdowns for Sam Darnold. Left tackle Christian Darrisaw went down 3 games ago. That's a concern. He's got a throwing hand injury right now. That doesn't make you feel better. The 3 interceptions last week, all to Justin Jefferson. He was late, which honestly, if you're going to throw 3 picks, do it to Justin Jefferson. So, I mean, there's that. I appreciate that part of it. But you don't like that he was staring down Jefferson on these picks. Here's the real thing that I want to impart to you guys. After that 3rd pick, it's early in the second half. Kevin O'Connell never it really seemed to shift his play calling. Darnold only threw 2 passes longer than 14 yards the rest of the game. And I think Kevin O'Connell just took the wheels off him and said, look, you're not throwing this game away, Sam Darnold. We're going to win. We're going to find some other way to win, which turned out to be mostly Mac Jones throwing the game away.
Right.
And that may be the case here too. Will Levis 100% capable of throwing a win away, and that might happen here, but I don't like the progression we've seen on Sam Darnold, the inconsistent play, and I think there's reason for concern in Minnesota right now. I don't feel great about this game in terms of the Vikings coming out of this with a win.
All right,
wow, okay,
that's surprising. Good job by Hawkinson too, though. He looked good in the win.
He did look good. Hawk is back. So man, you would think the Vikings. You got Aaron Jones at running back, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson, and you would think that you're just blowing people away with that, especially third-tier teams. But the Vikings, it's always drama here, and they never just seem to take care of business.
Plenty of drama in Chicago. What happens now?
God,
a fantasy standpoint, Williams moving forward, the team now Waldron let go and Brown taking over play calling.
Thomas Brown taking over the play calling. Let's back up to last February. And you're Chicago. And you need to get a replacement for a bunch of your coaches. You've nuked almost everybody except Matt Eberflus, which, by the way, was a mistake. They should have taken care of that while they were at it. But, all right, they're like, okay, we're going to go with Shane Waldron, and now we need a passing game coordinator. Okay, you're the Bears. You're sitting on the number 1 draft pick because the Panthers botched Bryce Young so badly that Panthers are the worst team in the NFL, and the Bears have that pick. So who do they take as their passing game coordinator? The Panthers offensive coordinator from last year? How can you do that when you've been cackling with delight over the failures of Bryce Young all year, and they've handed you the first pick in the draft, and this is the guy you chose as your passing game coordinator? Well, and then now, okay, so then fast forward to today, this week, you need somebody to replace Shane Waldron. Like, okay, we're the worst passing offense in the league. Our passing accuracy ranks 32nd with a 24% bad pass rate. We're 31st in passing yards. The guy who's the right man for the job, it's our passing game coordinator. I'm at a loss. I don't know how you think that this thing gets better with that change. Maybe there'll be other things that play a part in getting the Bears offense right. But I can't believe it's the guy who's been in charge of this passing game in Chicago now and was in charge of the Panthers passing game with Bryce Young last year. And by the way, tough matchup this week. Packers secondary's gotten a ton better in the last month because they benched Eric Stokes. So you roll all that together, guys, and I don't see it getting materially better. I hope I'm wrong for the Bears' sake, but I don't think that's going to be the case.
Yeah, and as Paulie pointed out last year, not only have the Bears whiffed completely on this season, it started last year when they were winning games, and they didn't. That was the dumbest thing they could have done because they were going to bring back Eberflus with some false optimism, and that's exactly what happened. So, quickly here, you want to call this a revenge game for Jameis Winston against the Saints? I don't think there's any bitterness here from Jameis' side. Do you?
No, probably not. But it's still fun. I mean, fantasy football's fun. It's supposed to be fun, and and winning is fun and everything. But what could be more fun in fantasy football than starting YOLO Winston in a revenge game against a struggling defense that traded away its best player, Marshawn Lattimore? I mean, this is a great opportunity right now, and Lattimore would have been perfect for corralling in emerging star Cedric Tillman. I love Tillman. This kid's just a beast. And the Saints, when opposing passers throw 36 or more times, they're giving up 313 yards 36 times. In 2 starts, Winston has thrown 41 and 46 passes. He's going to go over that 36 threshold. He's sitting on a 300-yard game. You know the bet on Winston, right? It's all or nothing, but the metrics here all suggest this is going to be an all game for Winston. He's my quarterback 9 this week. I like him this week.
All right. More with Charge coming up. We'll get to props tonight's game and picks he likes as well. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. This year, skip the holiday hustle and bustle. Save 50% off gourmet gifts site-wide, omahasteaks.com. Plus, get a $30 reward card when you shop early and score an extra $30 off promo code MONEY. They consistently deliver the world's best steak experience. The gifting experts at Omaha Steaks have gift packages starting at $89.99. We got ours last week. It's phenomenal. A-plus, legendary steaks, mouth-watering desserts, 50% off site-wide, omahasteaks.com, and get an extra $30 off with promo code MONEY and a $30 reward card when you shop early. 50% off omahasteaks.com and the extra $30 off with promo code MONEY. Minimum purchase may apply.
We continue with Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian coming up next here on VSiN. Do we get a bounce-back game tonight from Jane Daniels? He's off the worst start of his rookie season last week as they go to on the road and take on the Philadelphia Eagles, and other prop bets that he likes for this Thursday night barn burner next here on VSiN.
Got a good thing coming, so wait and see. It's a good.
You spoke, we listened. Introducing the all-new VSiN Watch app. Now, you can watch and listen to VSiN expert analysis live wherever you are. Missed a show? No problem. Catch replays of VSiN's full lineup at any time. View highlights sorted by sport. Or use the search feature to find specific teams and topics you're looking for. And the best part? It's free for a limited time. Download the VSiN Watch app today. Available now on the App Store and Google Play. And join us on the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We continue with Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian. He is on the Progressive Guest Line with us now here on VSiN. GuillotineLeagues.com is the website. How about tonight's game, Charch? Jaden Daniels, who has turned into a runaway favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, rightfully so, had his worst game of the year. Again, Steelers, good defense. Best one he's probably played the entire year. No touchdowns at all from him last week. Does it turn around tonight, and is there a prop that you noticed with him potentially?
I don't want to do any props on Daniels, but I'm generally nervous about this matchup. And the reason I don't want to do any props on Jaden is because he only needs like one play to go his way, right? If you bet his rushing prop, and I'm nervous about it, but if I bet the under, which is where I would lean, one good move later, now he's gone. And I don't want that. One big, he's got the big arm and he can have that deep connection. And I lean under on his passing prop, but I worry that, one connection later, he's got 70 yards. And so I'm not betting his props. Let's give credit to Eagles general manager Howie Roseman. Last year's secondary was awful. They were 29th in passing yards allowed. So when they roll into the draft, first round pick, Quinion Mitchell, second round pick, Cooper DeJean. And now look, over this 5-game winning streak the Eagles are on, they rank number 1 in passing yards allowed. And in those 5 games, they've given up 1 passing touchdown in 5 games. Wow. I mean, they've completely reversed that passing defense. And so this does not feel like a great matchup here for Daniels. It's not a great matchup, but he's a freaky talent. I wouldn't put my money on betting for or against him. To me, there's just too much volatility here. But I worry that this could be a frustrating matchup for him.
Okay. How about in the backfield for Washington? Do you think Brian Robinson does anything here against the Eagles?
So he's the Commanders' power back, and he's been pretty good. He's had a touchdown or 100 yards in every game but one. The Eagles' run defense, though, also amazing. They rank number 2 in rushing yards allowed. It's 60 per game. They're giving up 3.7 yards per carry. That's it. No opposing runners top 53 yards since way back in week 2. So I don't like Brian Robinson here either. I think he's going to struggle in this game. He is a good back. He's not a great back. I think the 47.5 rushing yards is about right. And I leaned under and I considered it here, but I think it's going to be too close to the wire. And I didn't feel like I could quite get under on Brian Robinson, but that was my lean.
All right. Anything with Barkley? Because Washington can't stop the run.
Yes. But my play on Barkley is through the air. And we're going to take the under here. So let's look at Barkley under 13.5 receiving yards. So, and I'm a little bit nervous because the line's super low at 13.5 receiving yards, and he's basically one broken tackle away from covering that. But let's listen to all the reasons for the under on this. It's remarkable. Commanders are the league's best defense against running back receptions, allowing the fewest. And get this, here's the last 5 games for the Commanders. They're giving up to the running backs, just running back receptions. They've given up 5 catches for 28 receiving yards. In 5 games combined, those are per game averages of 1 catch for 5 yards to opposing running backs. It's insane. And here's Barkley, really strangely underutilized in the passing game. He's been under 13.5 receiving yards 4 of the past 5 games. So that's my play on Barkley, is the under on receiving yards.
Okay.
All right.
Do you think Hurts has a good game? Is there a player like at wide receiver you think goes nuts tonight for the Eagles? Because the total is 9.5 in the game?
Yeah. I mean, Hurts, I do like Hurts in this game, but I don't necessarily love Hurts because Washington is a much improved secondary. We were talking about how the Eagles are a much improved secondary. Washington's also not as improved, but they were also good. They were dead last in passing yards allowed last year, dead last in passing touchdowns allowed last year. They're up to 5th in passing yards allowed, which isn't all bad, mostly because of improved play at their safeties. They've got their pass rush is also improved a ton. Last 4 games, Dante Fowler has gone on fire. He's now up to 3rd in sacks. I think he's got like 6 sacks in the last 4 games. Dante Fowler's turning into a real player. Credit Dan Quinn for installing a far better defense with a lot of the same players that he had last year, but getting way more production. He's done a really, really good job there. Still, Hurts has been fantastic during the 5-game winning streak. 72% completion rate, multiple touchdowns in every game, including 8 rushing touchdowns during the 5-game winning streak. That's no player in the last 5 weeks has more rushing touchdowns than the Eagles quarterback does. So, remember early in the season where you're like, oh, well, with Kelsey out, that tush push is never going to work. Yeah, it's working just fine. So, still like Hurts here, and I do expect him to. I do think he's sitting on a good game, but I don't have betting angles for you on it.
What do you want to do with Zach Ertz tonight then? Tight end for the Commanders.
I do have an angle here. We're going to go over 3.5 receptions for Zach Ertz. Because the Eagles have got the improved cornerback play that I was just talking about. Opponents are pivoting to tight ends, and they're funneling plays into tight ends. Over the past 6 weeks, with the Eagles secondary coming together, tight ends averaging 7 targets, 5 receptions. Each team's top tight end has had 5 or more catches in 5 of the last 6 games against the Eagles. And as for Ertz, Washington's a team with one good receiver, Terry McLaurin, and then it just drops off. So Ertz is always reliably targeted because there aren't a plethora of other good options. He's had at least 5 targets in 6 of the last 8 games. But here's the real clincher. No other Washington tight end is even allowed in the stadium. Here's the rest of Washington's tight ends for this season. On the year, John Bates has 3 targets. On the year, Ben Sennett has 3 targets. That's it. Every other tight end target, it's all Zach Ertz with 54 of them. So Zach Ertz, big part of this offense and a nice opportunity to go over 3.5 receptions tonight.
Take us through your thoughts on the winner of tonight's game. Like, are the Eagles a Super Bowl contender? Have you seen enough?
Yes, I think they are. Now, this 5-game winning streak, granted, it's a lot of bad teams in there, but they're also crushing these bad teams like they should. 6-point margin of victory. I think too many people are wrapped up in everything that went wrong last year. This is a better, more consistent team, and I think what happened to last year is not relevant here at all. Massive defensive improvements, as I just discussed. The plus 900 to win the Super Bowl right now, when they win tonight, and I think the Eagles are going to win tonight, that line, what do you think that moves to? What does plus 900 move to when they win tonight and they basically push Washington into the wild card spot?
I don't think it'll move much because they are favored in the game. I guess it might drop down to like 8-1.
Yeah, I think it moves to like plus 800. Okay. I like getting in on the 900 now because I do think they're going to win this game. And look, Detroit's your only real obstacle in the NFC, and it's a big obstacle. I'm not discounting Detroit. It's the best roster in football. But I think there's an opportunity here at plus 900 with the Eagles. We don't yet know how good they are, and just because they've been beating bad teams doesn't mean that they can't be good teams, and I think they do tonight.
Okay, that was an excellent breakdown on Ertz. Let's go to another tight end, Tucker Kraft. Green Bay. He's been coming on pretty much the entire year. They get a Bears team in total disarray right now. Does that continue with him? Does his strong season continue on Sunday?
I think it does. And this might be my favorite play of the day. Bears just getting nuked by opposing tight ends. Over the last month, opposing tight ends averaging 7 catches for 89 yards. That would make them the worst tight end defense in the league if it were applied to a full year. Chicago has been getting rocked by guys like Austin Hooper and Elijah Higgins. And since Luke Musgrave's serious knee injury back in week 4, Tucker Kraft has seen every tight end target but 3 since then. That means Kraft is sitting on close to all of the 7 targets and 89 yards that Chicago is allowing. And Kraft has been over or within this line, 33.5 receiving yards, 5 of the past 6 games. He's got a 33-yarder in there, and then all the other 4 of the other 6 are all well over the 33.5. I like Tucker Kraft a lot coming up Sunday.
Beautiful. Can you do, in 30 seconds, can you do what you like with Estime for the Broncos?
Yeah, I do. Estime didn't do a lot last week against the Chiefs, but they're the best run defense in the league, and they're actually heading to historic levels. He's going to face Atlanta this week. They're a good but not great run defense. Backs with 14 or more carries are averaging 77 yards against Atlanta. His line is 57.5. I think we could be ahead of the curve on Estime, who might turn out to be pretty good, and the lead runner. He was the lead runner last week, getting 94% of the running back carries for Denver.
Excellent as always, Charge. Thank you.
Thanks, my friends. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
You got it. If you ever get red hot betting, you think your picks are worth money, Juice Reel changing the way sports bettors buy and sell betting advice. You and everyone else links their accounts into Juice Reel. All your history loads into the free app. Everyone's bets imported straight from the books. You're as good as your betting data says you are. Unlock the picks real talented bettors have their money on and get paid real money when other people unlock your picks. Fully transparent betting advice from real people. Only on Juice Reel. Download for free iPhone or Android. REEL. Grab it. Get it. Download the app. Get it now. Juice Reel.
Paul Charchian joined us on the Progressive guest line. We'll pivot to the other football, soccer this weekend. Steve Wist, the meat man, joins us with his best bets next here on VSiN.
Sports bettors, this is your chance. VSiN is bringing you an unbeatable deal. Get a VSiN Pro